Obligatory podcast intro.
Hi, hello, and welcome. This is Flipping Pages with Matt and Adam. I'm Matt with my co-host Adam, and this show is where we take all 44 letters of the alphabet, we put them in a litter box, we both draw a letter, and then pick a comic that begins with that letter. I don't know his, he doesn't know mine. Spoilers ahead for these two comics and possibly anything else we talk about. We try not to, but it happens. So, dude, I'm very excited. I got F.
I know you're excited, bro. You were excited days ago.
Yeah, I was, dude. All right, so I got F. Would you get H?
Yeah.
H. All right, so I've okay. Little history with this. I'm gonna do what you do on these sometimes.
Yeah.
So I went to Half Price. I've seen this book. So it's what I got. I got F, and I found Fafhrd and the Gray Mouser. So now I've seen the covers. Every time I used to look up fantasy books, so I read Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, all that shit. I ate it up.
Yeah, when you said this, you asked if I'd seen it or heard of it. And
right.
I was like, no, I don't think so.
Because I always seen it. Because when I
Exactly.
go look up, all right, what are fantasy books that aren't popular, that aren't super mainstream, and I would always come across this.
Yeah.
So basically,
It's well regarded and well known.
Yes.
I guess. Yeah.
So it was written by Fritz Lieber.
Okay.
So it came out in 39. It was published in 39.
Yeah,
So it was published
holy
in a
crap.
magazine, and then there was a magazine of fantasy stories called Unknown.
Okay.
Or Unknown Tales, maybe. Eventually, I think it turned to Unknown Worlds.
Okay.
But it was just called Unknown Magazine.
Okay.
And it was just fantasy stuff. So that's where this popped up. And like everyone was like, whoa, that's great. So he wrote a bunch of different stories. There is 7 books. Now, they're not full stories. They're a bunch of collected stories. So when he wrote them, he just wrote instances like, hey, this is them. This is what they got into. Beginning, end, there you go.
Right.
And they're basically short stories or what novellas maybe?
Yeah.
So later in life, because I think he passed in like 93. So like in the 70s, he was like, I'm going to collect them and like put them in order.
Oh, right.
So, and well, he also released books. So he was the one who coined the term sword and sorcery. That's him. So sword and sorcery is like a subgenre of fantasy.
Yeah.
That's all him.
Yeah.
He came up with it. So he's got a whole swords, basically series of books, Swords and Deviltry, Swords Against Death, Swords in the Mist. And they're all the short stories compiled.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he put them kind of in an order for us. And then, so I found a comic version. It's Fafhrd and the Gray Mouser, the omnibus.
Yeah.
So later they made the comic and they put it in actual chronological order.
Okay.
So the story of when they met was like the 20th story he wrote.
Yeah.
But this one collects it and puts it
In the
first, right?
order
So it
he
puts it in,
wants it in.
exactly.
Okay.
So like the second story in the comic book is them right after the first story. So when he wrote them in the books, he had it in his head. This is right after that story I wrote. Or he was like, I'm gonna put that one before this
He
one.
at least had it kind of planned out, like
Somewhat.
how they related to each
So
other.
it's not like a grand fantasy. I meant to look it up. I think it's called light fantasy.
Okay.
Where it's like Earthsea, Lord of the Rings. It's not everyone has magic and stuff like that.
Right.
Lord of the Rings might not be light.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess the magic is light.
It's all semantics, though. So
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, right? So they got this comic book, which is what I found, and I was psyched. And like I said, there's no overarching bad guy. There is no story that carries over. They don't have to find a thing or destroy a thing or kill a person. It's basically a bunch of romps.
okay.
It's a big collection of romps. So the comic version that I got, so the adaptations and scripts were Howard Chaykin, Dennis O'Neil, George Alec Effinger, and then the pencils are Mike Mignola, who's pretty
Mike
famous,
Mignola, yeah.
Howard Chaykin, Walter Simmons, and Jim Starlin. And the inks, it just goes on. A lot of the people worked on this, and it's Dark Horse Books.
Oh, okay.
So the first story is called Ilmet in Lankmar. Lankmar is like the main city where a lot of their stories happened.
Gotcha.
There's a map in there too. It shows the whole world he created. And it's pretty sick. This
Love
is
maps.
everywhere. I love maps. Yeah. So it starts with these two guys. They're walking down. They're like talking shit to each other. Like, you're just skittish for no reason. His name's Fafhrd.
Okay.
So he calls this other. They're talking about Grandmaster Krovos is he runs the Thieves Guild. So they're basically coming back after a haul. So they're talking about. So they mention. I wish we could dodge Hristomilo's familiar.
Okay.
So it doesn't show it right away. So these two guys are chatting, and then you hear a rat basically skitter
Okay.
twice. And the Fifthest guy is like, oh, there's the all clear to cross the street. So the other thief is this short, flat dude named Slavus. And he's like, that first statue just winked at me. And he's like, dude, you're being ridiculous. So they both leap out. They end up fighting, and they end up talking to each other. Basically like, dude, who are you? And they're like, we had the same idea.
Oh, gotcha.
So they don't know each other. And they introduce themselves, and they're both like, dude, you're pretty cool. And he's like, I think you're
Did
pretty
we just
cool.
become best friends?
Yes. So the other three gang members, these like, they're called the Slayers. It's like,
Okay.
the Slayers are kind of like freelance, but they still answer the Krovos dude, Krovos,
Yeah.
who doesn't like freelancers, thieves. He's like, you work for me. But the Slayers do other shit, not just steal. They'll kill, and mercenary type stuff.
Mercenaries, yeah.
So they show up, and Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser just start going off. Now, Fafhrd is this like 6'8", freaking super tall dude from the north of their world. I didn't actually catch the name of the entire world.
Yeah.
And then the Grey Mouser, short dude from the south, and really tiny. He works with a sword, and he has like a smaller dagger.
Okay.
And Fafhrd just rolls with a sword and like his big old fucking meat hooks, like his, he giant dude.
Yeah.
So they just start whooping on these three guys, and they're having a blast, and they're like, this is great, man. They're like, check it, roll with me, let's go grab my woman. And the Grey Mouser's like, awesome, you grab your chick, we'll go to my house and you can meet my chick.
Oh, nice.
So they end up going over there, they meet the women, and then they are partying. They're like having a great time. They're drinking. They're like, we're out of wine, let's roll. They go to the bar, and they're like talking about did you hear that thief talk about that familiar? He's like, maybe it was the rat. And he's like, maybe, man. I mean, look, there's a rat on the bar counter right now eating peanuts. He's like, they could just be bold. Maybe that rat was just there. So he ends up telling him about his wife. Fafhrd ends up telling him about his girlfriend. And so she was an actress, and she was in like a theater troupe. And he saw her one night and just fell in love immediately. And I guess they said boredom. They just ran away. So they get to this Lankmar city because they're like, we can disappear. It's huge. Everything's there.
They can blend in.
Giant
and
city.
hide.
Yep.
Okay.
They can be nobody.
Yeah.
And so in need of cash, they start doing some thievery. And that's when Krovos is like, I don't like them freelance thieves. Like, you roll with me. And so he killed like the entire theater troupe and tortured everyone she knew.
God damn.
Yeah, so she's pissed. And she's like, I want his head. And Fafhrd's like, oh, man, yeah, with this again. Like, she's always...
always demanding head.
She wants me to go murder this guy and all his men.
Yeah.
And the Grey Mouser's like, yeah, why not? Let's go do that. They're
Sounds
like,
good to me.
They're like talking shit because the other woman is like, you should have... If it was you, I would expect you to bring me his head. Like, they get back from the bar, and the Grey Mouser's girl is all mad, and she's like, yeah, y'all should have been done that.
Oh, shit.
Like, y'all are bullshitting.
Downfall.
And he's like, all right, fine. They're all drunk. They're like, we'll go now. We'll go
downfall.
right now then. And they were like, no, don't do that. Y'all are drunk. And they're like, no, just a scouting mission. We'll just see what's going on, and we'll come back. We'll have some more wine, and we'll party. And they're like, all right. And they're like laughing and like goofy bastards. So they roll out there, and they're immediately like, we're going in.
Yeah, of course.
So they get this disguise going on. One guy, Mouser, puts a bandana around his eyes and pretends to be blind.
Okay.
And he ties up Fafhrd's leg behind him, so it looks like he has one leg. And
Nice.
they wrap their swords in like fabric to make it look like clubs or sticks. Not clubs, like the stick to help him walk and his tapping stick.
Just to conceal their swords.
Conceal their swords, yeah.
That's smart.
So as soon as they roll up, the door guys are like, y'all are terrible beggars. Like, this is a bad disguise. So they're like, who are you? And they're like, well, we're part of the day thief crew. And they're like, oh, y'all are this late? They're like, Krovos is going to be mad. You better go straight to him. I'm not telling him that shit.
Nice.
So, yeah, go take your haul to him and tell him why you're so late. Don't even get involved with me.
I don't even want to hear it.
So as they're walking away, they're like, dude, those dudes are terrible beggars. So what they're assuming is that they're thieves and they're dressed as beggars for their
at their job. Yeah.
Exactly. So they're like clowning on all of them. So as they're walking, they see this man standing in this room. It looks like a lab. It's got some bubbling shit going on and kind of wizard-esque, right?
Yeah.
Very much so, actually.
Alchemist type stuff.
Yeah. So he's talking to Slivikin. Slivikin is the rat.
Okay, no, of course not.
This is Ristamilo.
You used to try to say this earlier.
Ristamilo.
There you go.
This is Ristamilo's familiar, and it's a rat.
Yeah.
So he says, here comes your time. And dude, the writing in this, like Fritz's writing is very like poetic.
Yeah.
He's like, now Slivikin, comes your time to strain and sweat. Yes, master, hearkening in obedience, Ristamilo. Summon an ample sufficiency of feasters. I want the body stripped to skeletons. And then he's like, also remember to grab the loot. Mm-hmm. And the rat's like, I'll see it done. And he's like, deuces.
ElfQuest. It reminds me of ElfQuest, the way that he writes.
Yeah, very, like, I guess that was
flowery, like real flowery words for sure.
And like Fafhrd is even more so poetic. Like it's part of his character to be
okay.
Oh, disdain, why I feel thee.
It's
and
an
like,
excuse to talk or be like, okay.
And the Mouser's like real crude. And he's like, yeah, screw that shit. Like,
that's cool.
You know,
I like it.
Their characters are very cool. The way they bonded and got together is very dope. Like, I enjoyed it. So they're walking around after they see the wizard. They're like, kind of like, all right, let's go. And they see Krovos, and he's like, immediately like, your disguises are terrible. Like, what are y'all doing here? This is like my room. Why are y'all walking around the room? And they're like, oh, well, this is for the hall. They give them some coin, and they're like, this is what we got today. The doorman told us to come straight in.
Yeah.
And he was like...
It's a good excuse.
He's like, I'm not buying this at all. Like, at all. He's like, you report to the beggar master? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, he could like, call the beggar master, the dude that's in charge of him. And they said his name.
The manager.
Yeah. I'm not even going to attempt the name. He like calls the manager.
They didn't localize any of the names, huh?
No. Not at all. These are all wild ass names.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. So he calls the beggar master by the name, and Mouser's immediately like, yeah, no, we report to the other beggar master. And they were like, oh, you mean Bennett? And he's like, yeah, Bennett. That's who we report to. So the beggar master that is there comes in. He's like, Bennett's been sick for like 10 days.
Oh, shit.
There's no way. He's like, Krovos is like, do you recognize these two men? He's like, no, not at all.
No.
So the wizard comes in. He's like, why were you spying on the wizard? And you know, they ask the wizard, do you recognize these guys? He's like, no, I could just tell they're like in terrible disguise and they're bad actors.
They're sticking out.
That's about it. And he's like, do you want me to get my my mirrors and lights? And they were like, no, not now. Calls the beggar master in. And then the two thieves from the beginning show up. And they're like, yo, that's them. That's the dudes that robbed us.
Oh.
So they end up, huzzah, start fighting. And
yeah.
Like, they have their clubs. They don't have their swords. They're wrapped up, so they can't use the blades.
Okay.
So they're just basically beating these dudes.
Yeah.
And so they sneak out. They're not sneak out. They run out. They're like bonking dudes on the head as they're running out.
Bonk.
And this is like very... You know, there's only a few settings in this story. It's almost over. And it's like only a few places.
That's good when you're starting a story out. It's good to do that and then open it up later. So,
which I'm guessing it does. But since this is the comic, they probably were picking and choosing what they wanted to do.
Well, when you take a book down to a comic.
Yeah, and I don't know what his actual writing is like. Yeah. I'm going to get all those books because this stuff is dope. I loved it. I'll do our segment, How Were the Faces?
Yeah.
This art's incredible. And it's not Fritz's art. It's the people who made this comic.
Yeah.
He had art that he had in there.
Went along with it.
Someone else drew it for him. But it's not this. It's not this art. This is the comic creators at Dark Horse did this.
Yeah.
Love it though. Faces, you could tell who everyone is.
It's modern. They did it. It's modern.
It's a great read, man. Very fun to look at. It's cool.
You
that
have
was
a
our
picture
segment.
pulled up right now?
Yeah, I got a bunch.
Let me see.
You want faces?
Yeah, anything.
There's some faces. And it's from the 90s, so it is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't look up the exact year.
It looks
but-
modernish. Honestly, the art looks kind of modernish.
Yeah, I have nothing to equate it to.
I can't. There's an Alien vs Predator series that I read that kind of looks like that.
I've seen I've
Fire
written,
and Stone. I think no, that wasn't the one. One of the Alien vs Predator comics. It
looks like that.
Yeah.
I've written. Yeah, it's very 90s. I see it. The faces especially. I've read some pirate comics that look exactly like this.
Yeah, right.
It's very 90s though. I think it
Yeah.
fits. I bet you could find a lot of 70s to skip the 80s, 70s and 90s fantasy that looks like this. I think it fits in there perfect. So where was I? Oh yeah, they were bonking dudes on the head.
Yeah.
And they get out on the
Made it
roof.
out.
They actually kick a dude off the roof. So that's probably a murder right there.
Yeah.
And then as they're running away, a bunch of guys start doing like slingshots. They were like, oh, the slingers got great aim. And they're just
Yeah.
getting pelted with rocks, basically. So they end up escaping. They go back to the Silver Eel, which is the bar that the Gray Mouser lives behind.
Nice.
So they sneak back. They go into the room, and they're like tripping. They're like, the door's locked, which we told them to lock it. And they open the door, and there's rats everywhere. And the two women are chewed to like bones.
Damn.
So they kind of have this realization. They said Ristamilo, and he's like, and Slivikin, an ample sufficiency of feasters, he said, and forget not the loot and that business we spoke of. These dudes are pissed.
Yeah.
They burn the house down. The Silver Eel, the people in the bar are like freaking out because they're like, what is that? So they're going, and he's like, we shouldn't have tied up our swords. And he's like, not this time. That kept us from murdering people. And he's like, what's wrong with that? He's like, it's murder, man.
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Keeps us from murdering. So this time, they don't care. He's like, let's roll. But he's like, wait. And he goes and grabs like a hanging lantern full of just whatever substance is in there and oil just to keep it lit.
Yeah.
So he grabs that. He's swinging it around. Those original two guards at the gate, at the front door, just smashes that lantern straight into him, just catches on fire. They come in, and the dude's like, who invades this house? And he sees this giant 6'8" dude running, and this little tiny guy with two swords just murking. They're going off, dude. And this guy's like, oh, shit. Okay, so they make it through all those guys. They get to Ristamilo. And now this is like the first bit of real magic you see. This giant like green like bubble room basically opens up. There's a lot of black inky stuff kind of going
Looks
around
like
it.
cracks almost, maybe.
It does, right? But the cracks start moving. So you see spiders in the background. So he has spider ink things and then just tendrils of these things everywhere. So he actually like wraps them up and kind of restrains them.
Oh, okay.
And Fafhrդ's able to, like, he throws a knife at him, and the guy starts talking shit. He's got the little rat on his shoulder. And
The Slytherin
the
dude?
Slivikin.
Yeah.
Slivikin.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's Slivikin. Bringing news.
Slytherin is my name.
What news from Lankmar, Slivikin? Oh, Master Ristamilo.
I would like met somebody new and they were really cool, and then like 20 minutes later I was like, I didn't catch your name, bro. What was your name? And they're like, oh, my bad, bro. I'm Slivikin. I would shake their hand and be like, nice to meet you, Slivikin, and then I'd turn around and walk away.
You're deleting their
Never,
number as you're walking
never.
away.
Never.
Slivikin.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like,
A model
Why?
chick came up to me and was like, I really like you. Let's go hang out or whatever. I'd be like, that's cool. Let me put your name down, whatever. Oh, hi, I'm Slivikin. No, I'm
nice
good.
to meet you. I'm
good.
Ristamilo.
Yeah.
I'm Fafhrd.
Jesus.
I think Fafhrd's a cool name, though.
Fafhrd?
Yeah.
It's
I
not
think
bad.
it's like
At least
Scandinavian
it's not
sounding.
hard to say either.
It's not. It's spelled like a fucking.
It is. It's
like
got some, yeah.
Just a noise you'd hear in a car crash.
It had some
It's-
letters that we don't have in it.
No, it's like Cyrillic. It's like
Yeah.
the buttons you don't use on a calculator.
Are those considered Cyrillic too?
The buttons on the calculator?
No, if it's not in
No, if it had a notations or
Accents?
if anything. It's Fafhrd.
Oh, it just had accents? Oh, I thought it had one of those weird...
No, I don't... No.
Oh, okay.
Fafhrd. Fafhrd.
Okay. I bet in the original language it's got some letters that...
It might be. He's American.
Well, I mean...
Fritz.
I'm American.
Oh, you mean
You're American.
The language of Lankmar?
Yeah.
Oh, possibly.
I don't know.
Could be. Yeah, he's a northerner from this world I don't know the name of. From Lankmar.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, the dude's talking shit. The wizard's like, you can't stop me. Me and my pet rat run this shit.
We got you, bro.
Fafhrd pulls out this silver knife, and he's like, have some silver, bitch. And then it goes in his forehead. They get free. They fucking set the whole thing on fire. There's a little silhouette of him stabbing the rat. And, yeah, they just burn it to the ground, and they're like, fuck Langmar, we are never coming back.
We won, you lost.
And that they didn't kill Krovas, though. They killed the wizard. Because technically the wizard was the one who ordered his rats to go kill the girls.
Okay.
And that was because there was a whole part where they were like, if that rat is the wizard's familiar, then how does the rat convey anything to him? Does he write it in ink?
Right.
Does he talk to him?
Yeah.
So there's obviously something magic going on because he explained those two men.
Oh, right. He was able to communicate
the women
directly, where they're at, who it was, but I got
and
you.
Krovas was already mad at her from the theater troupe thing.
Yeah.
So they already might have been looking for her. The rat might have seen her and been like, this is separate business. This has nothing to do with those two thieves from earlier.
Huh.
So I don't know if that's his writing or if there's some overarching thing that I'm not catching, at least in this story, not the whole, series, but maybe this one. I read it 3 times and I didn't catch anything. I think the rat was just on his business with Ristamilo doing stuff from the theater troupe days, maybe doing anything. Maybe they followed the Mouser and Fafhrd to the house. Then they went home to get the rats, and Fafhrd and Mouser were there. Sent, we'll go to that house and take care of everyone was there.
They just weren't there.
That's what I assumed. Is the rat saw, because once they jumped out from the statues at the beginning, you didn't hear anything from the rat until he's talking to Ristamilo.
Oh, okay.
And the rat was just talking, so there's obviously, communication.
Yeah.
He fucking talks.
Yes.
So now I did read the second one, and it's called like The Circle Chase or something. And what it is this them swearing off Lankmar. And an only real thing of note in this is they meet this character. You don't know the name, but she's in like a tall wicker tower. Looks like a birdhouse. It's like fit for a person. So that person's just in there all cloaked and hooded. You can't see any features at all, just shadow and cloak.
It looks pretty cool.
Looks rad as hell. And so this thing's like talking shit. They're like, we shall never return to Lankmar. And she says, never and forever are neither for men. You'll be returning again and again. So this little comic I read is very short, like 10 pages, maybe 20.
Yeah.
It was just them going to different parts of the world. Swearing off Lankmar, just like trying to find life somewhere else.
Okay.
They end up fighting, these things and these guys, and now they're in the army doing this shit and like just a bunch of adventures.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Off page, like I said, romps.
Yeah.
So the whole point of that second book was they end up like, fuck it,
we're going back.
We're going back to Lankmar because like, what else can we do? Like, there's no world for us out here. This is the only place for us.
They thought there was gonna be something way better.
And they were like, we're only heartbroken there. They're like, we can't go back. We don't want to see it. We don't want to feel those things. And they basically arrive at like, well, maybe we should. Maybe we should. So as they're walking back, that person is still in that little hut.
Or whatever,
And she's like, I guess. They were like, told you. Like, basically like, I told you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was it. They just walk back into Lankmar, and they're both just like, fuck. This shit was awesome, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. It's super short. No world-ending shit.
Yeah.
No jewelry, nothing crazy. Just
cool.
a romp, like you said.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Super localized. What was it? 4 different places in the entire story.
Yeah.
It's like the alleyway, the bar, Krovas, and his house.
Yeah, like I said, that's a really smart way to start stuff out. is
right?
to keep it small and understandable.
And it's cool that he had that forethought of going, okay, well, they are connected, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not going to give it to you beginning to end.
Right away.
You're like, here's a little bit of the end. Here's some of the beginning. Here's a
Yeah.
lot of the middle, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I like piecing lore together from different, but you know, instead of just lore dumping it right on me,
Yeah.
or slowly learning it in the order I was supposed to. I like gathering it myself.
Yeah.
Because this book takes place 20 years after this book.
Oh, yeah. You kind of have to put it together a little bit.
Put it myself, where I go, oh, I remember that. That
Yeah.
was this wizard's son, blah, blah, blah. Like, I love that shit.
Yeah.
So, 10 thumbs up. Fritz
Hell
Lieber
yeah.
wrote some dope-ass fantasy.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to get those books.
Nice. Hell yeah.
And if I get F again, I might read some more. Because, like I said, dudes, I have a pre-existing relationship with this book because I've always seen it.
Yeah.
And something about it made me never go, I'm going to order that. Because I didn't know if it was a comic. Because you see the omnibus cover a lot. The books are individual.
Yeah.
There's 5 or 7 different ones.
Wow.
It's kind of daunting. And you know how fantasy books are.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, 5 or 7 books in your series is like not a lot. Like,
It's really not.
Because nowadays they go overboard like a mother.
Yeah, and in fantasy, dude, when you start a new fantasy, it's so much of, burger snapping is from the land of Gurgamersh.
Yeah, the amount of jargon.
You gotta learn the gods, the politics, the names, the fucking countries,
currencies,
curse
curse words.
the curses. Yes,
Yeah.
dude, I read Night Angel, great book.
Uh-huh.
Very daunting for that exact
Yeah.
reason. Like, okay, I guess that's how they do this here. Okay.
My comic for today has so much jargon and
Does it?
terrible like slang, future slang.
Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to say was, like, because of the time that it was written, it's like a very important fantasy novel. Like Gormenghast, Lord of the Rings, all these are like big. They're not the first, you know, but they're big for the genre.
Yeah.
And he basically created a subgenre. So if you hear of a writer going, oh, I write sword and sorcery, that's because of Fritz Lieber.
That's cool.
So you had these, like, not giants, but these kind of like trailblazers for fantasy. I mean, we looked it up. That first fantasy novel was written in like the 1840s or something.
Yeah.
So they've been around, but I guess what you would think of as modern fantasy, basically everything after those 3 books, and obviously other ones, C.S. Lewis, Narnia later,
Yeah.
shit like that. And then there was so many of those pulp fantasy novels.
Oh my god.
So many.
Yeah.
But these guys were the ones that like said, hey, this is what fantasy is. And everyone afterward was like, yeah.
Yeah, they kind of stuck to it.
Yeah. I mean, because you can look at George R.R. Martin. So much you can see from Tolkien in it.
Oh yeah, of course.
I mean, Tolkien went hard. Give you like every tree's backstory, which is
That was what he liked.
I
don't
love
think him telling the story. Telling the story was kind of secondary to his world building.
he created the language first, I believe.
Yeah, well, exactly. And like so many letters are written to fans and friends and coworkers and contemporaries that speak of people just asking him like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
does their economy work? And he's like, oh, well, and then
It
writes
just
a
goes
giant
off,
letter
yep.
about the economy.
I've read some actually because I was trying to learn about the Blue
mostly
Wizards.
been published. Like most of them, the letters have been published
And
in books.
I think it's cool that this Fritz Lieber guy, an American author, is like popping up, and he has my whole life.
Yeah.
Ever since I got into fantasy stories, I've seen his name. I've seen these books.
I've heard the Lieber name before, but if somebody had been like, Lieber, who's that? I'd literally
I
have known
wouldn't
in a million years.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. But as soon as I saw Fafhrd in the Great, I was like, I know this.
Okay.
And then I started doing a little digging and was like, oh, super old fantasy novels. This is like not the first, but like I said, something that kind of pioneered modern fantasy.
Yeah.
Very swashbuckling. Like I said, romps. It's
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome. Yeah, so I got H. So I was going to go to half price like normal because I'm running out of comics that I haven't read that I've been saving for
Right.
whatever. So I was going to go, and I realized I was broke. So I was like, maybe I'll check again. So I checked for an H a little harder this time, and I was like, oh crap, duh, I have a Hulk. Not even
a giant Hulk graphic novel.
The cover says Hulk too, not even Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
so it really is like an
straight
H.
up. No cheating this week.
Yeah, there's not an I that I
Hulk
disappeared or whatever.
Right.
Which is funny because which one of the either both of them or one of them is
Incredible Hulk. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the Future Imperfect one.
But they wanted to package this paperback as Hulk.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah. I think the second story, because this contains 3 issues. It's called Hulk the End. It contains Future Imperfect, which is 2 issues. Mm-hmm. Pretty large issues, though. I thought it was 3 issues, but it was only 2. And then there's a last issue in there called Hulk the End. So this graphic novel is called Hulk the End, even though the main story is Future Imperfect.
Right.
And it's just one issue called The End. So, if you don't know Future Imperfect,
they don't.
What was was it the 80s or was it the 90s? I feel like it was the 80s or very early 90s.
1937.
Actually, I bet I can see it in here. So, yeah, 90s. Okay. Yeah, it was the 90s.
We were 20 years old.
It was written by a guy named Peter David, who had written a short story that ended up becoming Hulk the End.
Oh, okay.
So I mentioned to you this earlier. I asked if you knew that Marvel used to publish short stories all the time and like books and whatnot of
this
Marvel
is one
characters.
of them.
Yeah. So the not Future Imperfect, but The End was a story that he had written years earlier, and somebody was like, hey, we should make that into a thing or whatever, and he was like, well, I already did. It's like and they were like, well, I'm sure we can get approval for it from the higher ups in Marvel, and Marvel was like, yeah, do it.
Yeah,
this is awesome. Yeah, exactly.
We'll put it on the end of another thing.
So the Hulk the End came out in, I think, just later in the 90s? I think it was 2002. Is when the next one, the Hulk the End, came out. So Future Imperfect came out in the 90s, and the reason it came about was Peter David was a writer there at Marvel, and somebody was like, hey, we have this foreign artist who is a absolute master at drawing dystopian futures. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they were talking about Mobius. They don't say who it was. So I don't know if they were talking about Mobius or who they were referring to.
Right.
So they were like, we want you, Peter, to write a Hulk story utilizing this artist who specializes in dystopian futures. So can you write a dystopian future story for the Hulk? And he was like, hell yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So he wrote a treatment for it, and he came in, he goes, here's my treatment for it, here's what we want to do. And they go, oh, we actually can't work with that artist anymore. And he was like, well, the whole thing was because of that artist.
What the fuck?
So they liked his treatment so much they got a different artist, an artist called George Perez.
George Perez?
Yes.
I went to school with him. Good dude.
He was a
No, I've heard of it.
he's been around forever. Forever and ever. And he is an amazing artist.
Yeah, I looked through it when you had it.
Yeah.
Before you even decided to cover it.
Yeah, I've had it for a while. His scene here at the beginning, this double page spread.
That's crazy.
Of the city in the comic book is called Dystopia.
Right.
And so it's super detailed. It's very thin line work. The colorist and everybody did amazing job. So the writer was Peter David and the artist was George Perez, and they both are amazing artists. Yeah, there's tasteful.
Do you see that sign?
Which one?
I see that right here in the middle. Look what it says.
Which one? Remember, the Maestro is watching you.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like
remember, the Maestro is watching you.
Yeah, so like this comic starts with a giant 2-page spread of dystopia, and I'm going to read real quick what a Barker is saying to all the people that are coming into dystopia. So traders, people that live in the wasteland, they're coming into dystopia right now, and this is what they would hear. It says, welcome to dystopia, ladies and gentlemen. You've walked here, you've ridden here, you've crawled here. But the bottom line is, you're here. And oh, what wonders await you. Feast your eyes on some of the lovely ladies who can be yours. But if you want to feast more than your eyes, well, that, my friends, will cost you. And so there's like this entire 2 pages. There's not a single millimeter that's not
No,
completely
it's
covered.
completely covered.
There's probably 300 people in this frame,
Yeah.
in this picture.
We'll definitely gonna put it on the YouTube videos. So if y'all want to see what we're talking about, check that out.
Check the YouTube video out. Exactly.
It's very Mad Max-ish.
Yes.
Mixed with like some Star Wars Tatooine.
Old school cyber, like cyberpunk kind of.
Right. I was gonna say it's like some weird Star Trek village.
Yeah,
You know?
I could
Like,
see it. Yeah.
So we have mohawks and wear fucking ponchos.
So before I yeah. Jesus. Before I get into the story, I'm gonna do my lore dump at the beginning, like I do sometimes, because it's Marvel.
No,
it's
cool.
Marvel.
You
so
have to. You
kind of have to do some explanation. So this comic.
Get on the train.
Yeah. This comic happened in the '90s, like I said. So the way I'm doing this kind of technically is a slight spoiler because you don't know who the bad guy is technically right away, because this is his first introduction.
Oh yeah,
I
introduction.
think I said it earlier, but
we said the sign. We read the sign.
So who we have is what we happen is in the 616 universe, Professor Hulk, so Smart Hulk.
That's the main Marvel universe.
Yeah,
that's where all your favorites. That's where they're normally operating.
That's the standard.
Yeah.
So he is the Hulk in the 90s. He's Smart Hulk. He's hanging out, and Rick Jones comes to him and says, "Hey, you need to go with this lady." And he's like, "What?" And he goes, yeah, "There's no time to talk. Trust her. Believe anything she says, and trust her. Go with her. You're gonna need to help these people. People need help." So he goes with this lady. They go through a time machine. He ends up in this dystopia. Mm-hmm. And in this dystopia, it's run by Maestro. Maestro is, if you don't know who Maestro is Hulk plus 100 years of radiation.
Yeah.
So
I love Maestro. If you can't tell, I'm very excited.
So 100
cool.
years before the story that we're picking up with in Maestro's world, dystopia, 100 years before that, humans nuked the entire planet. It wasn't superheroes, and they make a big deal about it. He goes, they were able to destroy the planet with no capes or nothing dumb involved.
We just did
the
it.
humans did it.
Right.
And in both stories,
we can.
Future Imperfect, Future Imperfect and The End, he comments on it. He goes, "I knew it." He goes, "I always knew the humans would do this to themselves." So because there's radiation everywhere, the Hulk loves radiation. So he just absorbed radiation for 100 years. He lost all his friends. He eventually killed a bunch of the people that were left that would be considered his friends, because he got crazy as hell from losing Betty.
Yeah, he's not a normal.
No, he's extra
strong Hulk.
Yeah, he got too much radiation and too much power. So he gets real strong, and he creates his own civilization. I don't know how many years after, but the story is 100 years. So he creates a city.
He stays in Hulk form.
He never is Banner.
Yeah.
Never, ever is Banner. Even when he sleeps, nothing, never Banner.
Always Maestro.
So this city is protected from radiation by these special generators. They run on fuel, and it keeps the radiation from killing the people in the city. Mm-hmm. Hulk doesn't care, so that's not a problem for him. So everybody else around the world that doesn't have that just dies, or they live underground. So this city is the main part of the planet. Mm-hmm. This Hulk city is like everything. There's like not much else in the entire world.
Oh wow!
So he runs this as a despot. He's gone crazy. He has a giant harem. He's got a pile of bodies. So his palace is on a ridge, and below it, like hundreds of feet below, there's like a mountain of bodies where they just throw the bodies out.
Yeah.
And so he runs everything with an iron fist. He's a dick constantly. He's not nice to people.
He's crazy.
He literally has gone insane. So the lady who picks up Hulk and brings Hulk to the future is actually Rick Jones's great-granddaughter from the future.
Nice.
So Hulk gets taken to the future. Yeah, that's everything that I needed the lore dump to do. So now I'm going to hop into the story.
He's Professor Hulk? I know he's on the intelligence side with this one. Does he speak like normal, or is he like
no?
Hulk believes the theory of
he's like actually smart.
Be cool if he still
calls himself a doctor and stuff. Like,
Well, he is.
yeah. Well, he was like,
I mean, Hulk is.
I'm not a medical doctor, blah, 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 blah. Well, because Professor Hulk is a meld between the Hulk and
it's
whatever.
basically like a Endgame.
Yeah.
That was Professor Hulk.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not a
Smart
bitch.
Hulk. No.
Still the Hulk.
Exactly. So that's your little lore dump. That's everything we needed to do. In this comic, the slang from the future is silly as hell. I don't know why they had to put as much as they did. It's overboard.
Yeah.
Way overboard. They don't scan that. Can you tweak this? Blah, blah, blah. Just so much. It's like frag, or it's not frag. Flark. Flark is their F word.
Oh, is
so they
it?
say flark.
What the flark?
It's ridiculous. It's so silly. So our story picks up, like I said, Hulk's now in this messed up future. He's at the people that brought him there's base. So he's not walking around because everybody would see him and think it's Maestro or something.
Right. Yeah.
So the people that brought him there, her name is Janice. That's Rick Jones's great-granddaughter. Janice is the leader of the Outlaws, which is the rebellion or rebels from the Maestro. So they live literally under dystopia and hide from him, and they're like the only rebels, basically.
The resistance.
They are the resistance, exactly. So Janice, Piz Fizz, Dackard, Scooter, and Rick Jones. Those are all the people, our main characters of the Resistance.
Those are some crazy flarking names right there.
Janice, Piz Fizz, Dackard, and Scooter.
Is that one name?
No, that's 4.
I am Janet Piz Fizz.
I would not be surprised if that's how their actual names go in this. So we open up with them running through that giant scene that I was talking about, the welcome to dystopia. They're running through talking about how they have something that can actually win this war now. They're talking about the Hulk. They're talking about Professor Hulk. They're talking about how they need to stay quiet because they're like should be underground. If somebody hears them, they'll...
Remember, Maestro's watching.
Yeah, exactly. So they're talking and whatnot, and Dackard, one of the other females besides Janice, is talking about how they need to stay under the radar, blah, blah, and then her head explodes. A little red dot comes up, like a laser sight, and then explodes her head. And then the Maestro's cops roll up. And they're like, we murdered your friend to tell you or show you that we were serious. Y'all all surrender right now or we're going to do the same to you, blah, blah, blah. So they start fighting the Maestro's cops. They're like, we can't fight these dudes. Like, we're screwed. Let's run towards where our Hulk is, and maybe he can beat these guys up. So that's what happens. This is the first time we actually see the Hulk in the comic. And he starts fighting.
He looks like Giga Chad Hulk.
He looks terrible.
That face is awful.
It looks so bad. Yeah. So let's do the how are the faces?
Giga Chad Hulk, bro. That's
so the how are the faces they're pretty mediocre. I would say Hulk's face looks absolutely terrible. Maestro's face looks amazing.
Yeah, Maestro looks awesome.
Other humans are kind of generic. All the females look the same. All the males.
The big double page didn't look bad.
Yeah,
it was very small and not super detailed with the faces. But...
Exactly. So the Hulk fights.
Oh, that was our segment. How were the faces?
Oh, right. They were cool. So the Hulk is fighting the cops. He just destroys the cops. So they send something called a war dog towards him, a dog of war. It's a giant, genetically modified. Evil dog that's got like armor all over it.
I thought War Dog
adamantium
was cooler, bro.
Dog of war, yeah. All this adamantium armor on it and
shit.
stuff. So he's fighting that, and he just destroys it. Of course, the
adamantium.
Hulk, Professor Hulk just destroys it, and so that's the end of the fight. The minister, who is Maestro's second in command, heard that the Hulk's there or whatever, so he's going to tell Maestro that the Hulk's there, and so. He meets Maestro comes out. He looks friggin' awesome.
See, his face is totally fine.
It's good. It's good. It's not even just fine.
I love his giant gray beard
and his like retreating hairline.
He's got the O-ring, but the hair is long.
Yeah, yeah, the O-ring from beard to hair. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
So this
pulls it off.
This is literally the first introduction of Maestro. This is the first time you would ever see him.
Let me see it.
Yeah, and so the minister comes in and he's like, "Hey." There's like a Hulk, another Hulk out there, and so Maestro's like, "What the hell?"
I feel sorry for those women behind him, bro.
Oh, he's got a hair on
in the bed.
Yeah, he's got a hair on him. Yeah,
it's the Hulk.
You gotta bang it makes no sense, like just physics wise,
those poor
geometry
women.
And whatnot.
Yeah, it's the GIF.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. We all know what GIF.
The GIF.
So Hulk retreats back to the Outlaws underground hideout, and he's like, no one dares to follow the Hulk, and of course somebody follows him or whatever and finds the entrance. So now he goes down into the underground hideout of the Outlaws. People are like, dude, why is the Maestro here? And they're like, obviously it's not the Maestro. So Janice introduces him to all the outlaws, all the rebels, all the revolutionaries. And she's like, this is our savior. He's going to help us, whatever. And so somebody has like a hollow cube, like hologram of the Hulk's history. So it shows his whole history about how he saved Rick Jones, is how he got his power.
Right.
And then what he did throughout the years, all the different versions of the Hulk he was.
Cool.
And this and that. So she's like vetting him, like showing... speaking up for him and whatnot.
Right.
And so he gets let, after that introduction to everybody, he gets let in, and Rick Jones is still alive. He's been kept on in like Professor X's floaty chair. Yeah, check it out. He's in a trophy room or like a memorial room with like Captain America's shield, Wolverine's adamantium, like Sunfire's mask, just like Cyclops' mask,
Spider-Man's mask.
Yeah, just
Thor's
everybody.
Hammer.
Yeah, pretty much just
Iron
everybody.
Man. Dude, Doctor Strange's cloak.
Yeah, so
Is that Beast's fur in the back?
yes, up like a rug, held up like a rug.
Is that Warlock right there?
Yep.
Dude,
Yeah.
this is the coolest panel ever,
Yeah.
bro.
So
What was it, Century Head?
Professor Hulk gets to talk to
Sentinel,
Rick.
Sentinel.
That gets to talk to Rick, who's been in there the whole time. So he explains everything that happened, the war, and what happened with the other Hulk. And he convinces Professor Hulk that they need his help. What is
It's
it?
Galactus.
Oh, is it? I thought that was Darkness or Cloak or whatever.
Yeah, but look at the helmet. It might be.
I see it. You're
Look,
right.
that's Kang. Is that Kang? That's cool. That's a cool panel.
Yeah, I think that's Kang.
That is a dope ass shot.
Oh, no, that is supposed to be Galactus, I think. Yeah, so
Wait,
Rick
he
and
don't have a
him,
cloak?
Rick and Professor discuss what happened in the meantime, why
Mm-hmm.
the world's like that. That's where you learn about the bombs and blah, 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 blah. And then
So the superheroes died from the bombs as well? Or
during and after.
over time?
During
okay.
the time, yeah. So, like I said, some of them just died, and then eventually Maestro ended up killing a bunch of the ones that were left, basically. So during that beginning opening scene, whenever Hulk had to come help the rebels or whatever, the outlaws, Piz-Fizz, the guy with the crazy name, got captured, and they're like torturing him and interrogating him and using like machines to look at his memory and
Oh,
whatnot.
damn. That's cheating.
Yeah, so because he's a badass, Piz-Fizz is like, I'm not gonna tell y'all shit. Like, you can do whatever, and he's doing really good. Like, they're not getting him to break, so they have to use this special machine to look at his past memory to see where the good bad guy, or you know what I mean,
No fair.
the rebels are. They finally get all his memories. They see how they brought Professor Hulk to this future. They found Dr. Doom's time machine and fixed it, and were able to use it to go get Professor Hulk or
Nice.
whatever, which is awesome. I like that explanation.
That's cool.
Super cool.
Doom's mask was in that room, too.
Yeah. It's basically everybody big.
Yeah.
So at this point, like I said, Professor Hulk and Rick are kind of discussing stuff. He sees all the ashes of all his loved ones, like Betty and like pretty much everybody else. So he's like, yeah, I'll help you against me, basically. And like I said, they were able to figure out from Piz-Wizz's memory where the rebels' base was. Maestro comes out there. The only reason they weren't able to get to the base is because it was through too deep of like rocks and stuff. So Maestro just digs all the way down. The outlaws know he's coming, so they all evacuate and put on a bunch of booby traps. Maestro gets down there with all his men too, and he sends his men in. Every single man dies from the booby traps, so he goes in after.
Pretty hardcore booby traps.
The lasers and acid and gas, and it was gnarly.
Crocodiles.
You can see the people melting.
Oh, damn.
It's gnarly. This comic's
Yeah.
actually really rough.
I see that.
Very violent.
I didn't expect
especially
that.
for the 90s.
And how his face looked.
Yeah. That's the worst part, I think. So, like I said, Maestro now walks in because all his guys are dead. And as he comes in, Professor Hulk pops up from like an underground spot, and they start like battling.
Nice.
So that's the end of the first issue. And then at the beginning of the next issue, they're battling for a little bit. So it's a few pages of Hulk versus Hulk. which is this part of the fight's okay. There's another fight later that's better, but this fight's kind of cool. I like the fight choreography and the
very busy pages.
Yeah,
too. Cool.
yeah, exactly. Because the artist is just so much detail. So they fight and whatnot. And then friggin' Maestro grabs Professor Hulk's head and twists it around and breaks his neck. Doesn't kill him, but literally breaks his neck and paralyzes him.
Dang.
So Professor Hulk's like, I'm dead, whatever. But he wakes up in Maestro's castle with a hot chick helping him who looks like Betty.
Oh, what?
He did that on purpose.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He looked at the memories and then...
Well, I mean, he remembers Betty too. Maestro does.
Well, it's not necessarily certain that he had a Betty, but
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So
I know what you're saying.
In this part, they talk about that actually. That's funny. They discuss time travel crap, and Professor Hulk like, I'll just kill myself, and then you won't exist. And he goes, dude, I don't remember any of this happening. That means we branch timelines.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't die at all.
Yeah,
so,
I didn't show up earlier and fight myself and then turned into myself. And now we're fighting.
Exactly.
That's not what happened.
So at this point,
multiverse.
At this point, the minister, the right-hand man of Maestro, is like, why didn't you kill this guy? Like, what the hell, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he goes, I am killing him with kindness. So he, like, keeps him alive, and he's, like, feeding him really good, and he's got all servants and stuff. And we get to see him, like, taking Hulk around to see, like, his kingdom, basically.
Really?
Yeah. So Hulk is, like, riding around with him. He's, like, in a adamantium neck brace and shit.
I see, yeah.
And so he sees how Maestro gets his harem. He goes out to these people, and he's like, hey, where's your daughter? And he's
Yeah,
like,
what do you mean? Of course that's how he gets them.
yeah, well, I mean... There's different ways, I guess. But he goes out to these people. And he's like, hey, where's your daughter? And the guy's like, no, she's like ugly and she's skinny and blah, blah. He goes, I'll be the judge of that. And he steals this guy's daughter and he goes, okay, here's some food that'll last you till y'all's crops come in or whatever. So he's just being paraded around for like weeks, I would imagine, maybe even a month. Professor Hulk's beard even starts to grow, kind of like Maestro's. And Maestro's just trying to get him on his side. Yeah, basically.
Figured.
And Hulk
Two Hulks, man.
Yeah, Hulk is kind of like pretending like he is. He's thinking about it or whatever. So
that's why he's smart.
So in the middle of one night, the Hulk hops up and the rebels. He had dug a hole through the floor to let the rebels in. They're called the Outlaws or whatever. So they go in and they're going to go assassinate the Hulk. And they're about to kill the Hulk. And
you mean Maestro?
Yeah, Maestro, sorry. And the Hulk breaks through a door, and then as he's breaking through a door, a giant laser beam comes out of nowhere and launches the Hulk. And Maestro's like, guess what this is? Oh, this is just a gun that Forge made specifically to kill me.
Oh,
he goes, I kept it from back in the day. I hid it so nobody could use it against me, but I'm glad I kept it. So he like blasts the Hulk. And then so all the outlaws are still around, so they all start fighting. It's like a big battle. And so Maestro is like, to his guys, he's like, hey, go get the Hulk's body or whatever. And they're like, he's gone. There's a trail of green blood, but he's gone. So Maestro starts trying to track down the Hulk. The Hulk leads him back to Rick Jones's trophy room or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Hulk punches Rick Jones like across the room, and he lands on Wolverine's skeleton. And
Maestro punches Rick Jones?
And punches him into Wolverine's skeleton, and Wolverine impales Rick Jones with his claws.
Oh, because he's still alive?
No. And so Maestro's like making fun of him and whatnot. And as he's making fun of him, the Hulk comes out of nowhere wearing purple tidy whities.
Oh yeah,
like
nice.
A Speedo basically.
Fuck yeah.
Comes out of nowhere and throws Captain America's shield, and it hits Maestro and actually digs into his chest like real deep.
That's pretty raw.
Maestro, which I think they actually took this line or this idea into like Infinity War. He goes, he throws it at him and he goes, let's see you. Professor Hulk goes, let's see you heal when I cut you in half. And the Maestro's like, "Arr!" And then he says, you only get one chance at me, and you blew it. He pulls the shield out of his chest and just starts whooping Professor Hulk with it.
Oh, damn.
So it kind of reminded me of that part with the you should have gone for the head type.
Right.
Type of part. So this fight is the good fight. It keeps going. It's a bunch of pages. It's really rough. There's lots of blood.
See that?
They're really trying against
dope
each
as
other.
shit.
It's really cool. Lots of green blood everywhere.
A lot of green.
And so they're battling. They keep moving around. So they're battling, and then Hulk's like, "Welcome to Plan C," and he flips on Doom's time machine, and bloop, Maestro gets sucked up into the time machine, and everybody saw it. Hulk saw it. All the outlaws saw it, or whatever. And when he comes to, or when he pops into reality again, Maestro's like looking around, like, I don't care if he sent me to the future. I'll take over again. If he sent me to the past, I'll wait around till he's alive and I'll kill him. And he goes, "There's nothing he can do." Blah blah blah. He goes, "What's that way over in the distance? It looks like a man in a coat or something. Like, is that two men?" And he goes, "Across the desert? What is that?" And then you can hear the dialogue from when Bruce Banner saved Rick Jones and how he became the Hulk the first time. And the Maestro turns around and sees the gamma bomb that created the Hulk 1 foot from him.
Oh, wow.
So earlier in this, they talked about how even just a real nuke, even not like a gamma nuke, with ground zero, if it hit Hulk on the head, it would kill him, is what they said.
Right.
In this. So he talks about when the nukes fell, he was lucky that he was away and didn't get hit directly with a nuke, and was able to suck up the radiation after and get all strong. Well, he talks about how just a nuke next to him would kill him. Well, the nuke, the gamma nuke, was like on him. And the funny part is, like, it shows him kind of like as Bruce Banner. It shows him as Bruce Banner for a second.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
But he's not. He doesn't turn into Bruce Banner for a millisecond, turn back. But it's cool because they show his face, like, real crazy. And, like, there's art on that one. It's amazing. And then on the other side, you see it's back to Maestro's face. And then you see him, like dissipate.
Getting blown apart.
Like, dissipate into, like, nothingness. And
that's gnarly.
Then at the end, like, Hulk takes Rick's ashes and spreads it on Captain America's shield with a special glue, and then, like, throws it into space to give him, like, a space burial or whatever.
Nice.
And then he, like, tries to help the outlaws kind of set up the dystopia, just because the city's called dystopia. Try to set it up before he leaves, and then so he leaves.
And then he goes just
and
back
that's
home.
literally the entire Future Imperfect storyline. That's just 2 issues. I told you basically every single thing that happened. Otherwise, it would have been super quick.
And then the end.
So I'm about to talk about the end. The end was written by the same guy, the exact same guy, Peter David, just many years apart. And this is the story that was based on his written story from before. And so this written story is about, I'm just going to very, like, overview this. This is about the Hulk living in the aftermath of a nuclear war that killed every single other person on Earth. So he walks around as Banner most of the time. Like in the comics and stuff, he's like Banner, and in it kind of starts when he's old, like kind of old, older than we normally see him.
Right.
And all the humans are gone. He just walks around, and he can turn into Hulk when he needs to. So basically, one of the only other life forms on the planet are giant mutated cockroaches that can almost kill the Hulk. Ugh. They can bite through the Hulk.
Gross.
So whenever Banner gets really long hair, and he, like, gets skinnier and like an old man and bent over. Oh. So then when the Hulk turns into the Hulk, or when he turns into the Hulk, he has the same hair. It's super scraggly and like nasty looking. Yeah. And even his face and whatnot, it's got some age to it. Look. He's got, like, wrinkles.
Oh, I thought he was going to look like Maestro.
Yeah, no, I mean, the hairline. Yeah. The hair's kind of similar. He just doesn't have a beard.
And it's white hair.
Exactly.
And he's on his way.
So this is, like I said, all it does is, like, inner monologue. 99% of this issue is just inner monologue. I knew the humans were going to do this. The stupid humans. I always said I wanted to be alone, but now I'm lonely, because he lives for a friggin' long time.
Right.
So every once in a while, when the bugs find him, he turns into the Hulk, but he gets, like, eaten, like, partially eaten, to the point where it takes him, like, hours or days to heal himself. So, like, it's nasty. Let me see if I can find the clip.
I don't want to see the clip.
But yeah, so, like, he'll get just absolutely, like, destroyed by the bugs, and then he'll recover, he'll heal up or whatever, and do it all over again. So his life is just like wandering the wasteland and just being depressed and monologuing. So as he's wandering the wasteland, what are they called? A recorder. So it's like a traveling AI robot that's supposed to record planet's histories and whatnot. So this recorder tells Bruce Banner that he's the last human on Earth, and he gives him a little floating camera robot to record everything that's left on Earth and to record his demise. So he's got a little friend now that's a camera, not really a friend, a little like parrot almost, basically. Just kind of flies around and videotapes him, and that's how he like watches back video of him getting eaten by the bugs, and like it's cool, man. Oh, here we go. I found it finally. There we go. Look at that. Check that page out.
Oh, gross.
So his guts are hanging out. Who was the guy that got eaten by the eagles every day or whatever? He was stuck to the rock, and not Sisyphus who pushed up the boulder, but the guy gets eaten.
The blacksmith.
Yeah, okay.
Hephaestus,
I think you're right.
I think so.
So it's kind of like that, where he gets like eaten up, but then just recovers, and it happens.
They don't look like cockroaches.
No, they're giant, like.
They're still terrifying.
Yeah,
they look like wasps.
Yeah, they have the wings and stuff, but I mean, regular roaches have wings. So he's just kind of like chilling. He tries to kill himself a few times. It's stupid. Like that. The art in it is absolutely amazeballs, and the idea overall. But like, I think the execution wasn't great.
I don't know. This last page is pretty cool. Hulk is the only one there is. Only one there is. Hulk feels cold.
Yeah.
That's just him staring out at the desert.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, it almost felt like they weren't written by the same guy, but they were written like 10 years apart or more. So, I mean, that could be a thing.
And this is supposed to be that Hulk?
No.
It's just a separate...
Yeah.
Okay, weird.
Two stories about Hulk in the future, basically.
Right.
So, the
weird.
Future Imperfect is amazeballs. I think the actual... like individual issues are crazy expensive because it's the introduction of Maestro.
Right.
Not crazy. I know they're more
Just
than
more.
I would want
to
pay. So I got a friggin' graphic novel that not just has those, but also has the Hulk the End story, which are two complementary stories. So I'm really psyched that I have the physical copy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have to read it online. I would never be able to read Future Imperfect because I'm not paying whatever for
$20
an
issue or some shit.
But yeah, man. So overall, it was amazeballs. Like I liked it a lot.
All right,
Normal introduction.
Are you gonna scream?
Nah, dude. I won't. Nah, it's funny sometimes, but
okay.
Introducing from the red corner, Matthew. Introducing. The left corner. Yes, I said red.
Red
in left corner. I know what I said. Adam, the Destroyer.
Why'd you get a nickname? Fuck that
you
announcer.
Suck. Who's winning, bro?
Dude, it's 12-9. All right. All right. So this is our segment, Matt versus Adam. We take a random character generator and we see who'd win in a fight between the guy or gal or creature or animal that we get.
Yep.
Just do Animal Kingdom, bro.
Yeah.
I got a tiger. I got a bear. So we have Marvel, DC, cartoon characters, and video game characters. We do have an AI. We do have a anime one that we tried once and it didn't work out well. So we're waiting on someone to help us with that.
Yeah.
So we want to do cartoon characters today, right?
It's one of the ones we've done less of.
These are always just wild. Like
they're usually complete mismatches.
Yeah, they're insane. Like, oh shit! All right,
you actually got something.
I got someone cool. I got Ben 10.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So you have to push the button.
The actual button.
Yep. Okay. Ben 10, man.
Damn it! Come on.
Nice. Who'd you get? That wind change. Nope. You can't do it. You got to push the button, bitch. Stop cheating. Stop trying to cheat.
It was Popeye.
Oh, shit. What?
Yeah, so, like, that's a real fight.
Oh, nah, man.
It's a real fight.
Fuck.
I think we're going to have to go down to percentages here at some point because I have some crazy feats.
Yeah, you do. Like, insane.
And you know what's funny? Your feats usually aren't very insane.
No, but I fight monsters and
powerful aliens and
stuff. Monsters, yeah,
cryptids and all sorts of stuff.
Mm-hmm. So I got them squabs, man. I got them squabbles.
Yeah,
and I got multiple like different variations of
lot.
not suits, but I guess just
Or you turn into a different alien.
yeah, turn into them.
Originally it was 10, and then by the newer show it was a bajillion or whatever.
Yeah, because and we'll set the arena is basically 2 blocks of downtown Houston, just people, cars, restaurants, everything.
It's normal shit.
Popeye was walking down the street, and Ben 10 is walking down the street, and it's fight on site.
One of them creased the other one's kicks.
So we always had a rule about you can't have the thing like Thanos.
Yeah.
So do you have spinach?
Do you have your Omnitrix?
Oh shit! So
you always keep your Omnitrix on you. You do.
And you always got some
I usually
spinach.
always keep my spinach on me.
Okay.
There's no prep time needed for either of us usually.
Okay, because
For spinach, right? My spinach pops out of like my butt or something. It's
well, you
crazy.
pull it out of your pocket. I think
All
there's,
sorts of stuff.
I think there's stories where he doesn't have
can't-
spinach.
he has to find the
and he has to
spinach.
find it.
Yes.
So you don't always necessarily have it.
Well, I
believe.
guarantee you there's stories where you don't have the Omnitrix or the Omnitrix isn't working.
It's my watch, right?
Yeah. That's how you turn into the different aliens.
Okay, so all right.
I loved Ben 10.
Yeah, it was very cool. So I got advanced intuition, photographic memory, god damn it, leadership skills, strength, speed, tactical wits, marksmanship, skilled combatant, self-defense, and plumber training. That's neat.
Do you know what the plumber training means?
No.
That's where he would have gotten his fighting cryptids and alien skills and stuff. They're
Oh,
like hunters
nice.
from Supernatural.
Okay, so the prototype Omnitrix I have. Oh, there's the Ultimatrix,
Yeah, that's the one later.
the official Omnitrix. So it's not breaking down
So you you were terrible with it when you first got it,
right.
and you couldn't control it all the time. Whatever. And then whenever what is it, Ben 10 Omniverse or whatever, the later one. That's whenever he started he was old, like a teenager or whatever, and he was better at controlling it. But he got a whole bunch more.
Yeah, no, there's
characters
a
and stuff.
giant list here, but it doesn't break down like what.
Each one does. So
Okay,
one will be
okay.
like a technopath. One will be super fast. One of them will be super strong but dumb. So it's very like cliche type stuff.
Right.
But they're all powerful in their own way.
See, it's showing it's doing like the things that the Omnitrix can do as opposed to power.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, there's times where you use the powers of like universally powerful beings a couple times. I know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but it's not breaking down
here's
what
my
I
point
can.
of all that saying it is I think realistically, if I'm being honest, you're probably gonna win.
Here we go. Adaptability, resourcefulness, gifted intellect, knowledge.
Yeah, that's
photograph.
just
This
him.
Is,
That's
yeah,
just
but
him.
it even says powers and ability. That's base. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Alien forms.
Yeah.
So I got
It's gonna take us
pyrokinesis.
8 years if you're gonna. Yeah.
Fire generation, so that's one. Flight, fire absorption,
Yep.
temperature, supernova, superhuman speed, superhuman durability, superhuman strength. And you're right, that's just one of them. So, okay. So Diamond Head, yeah, all these guys super strong. But now when you switch over to fucking Popeye,
Yeah.
you want to hear your spinach empowerment?
Yeah.
Absolute strength, absolute speed, absolute reflexes. This is all absolute stamina, invulnerability, absolute body.
Okay, never mind. I won.
Yeah,
I did.
erasure immunity, self-resurrection.
Erase your immunity. That means that's
the artist can't
wall
yeah,
breaking.
The
shit.
artist can't get rid of it.
Bro.
Invisibility, temporal rewind. It just to say we're using Heroes Wiki.
Yeah.
This is
Thank
the site
you,
we
Heroes
use.
Wiki.
Yeah, for sure. Temporal rewind, invisibility,
Yeah.
expert combatant. But again, that is spinach empowerment.
Like I said, though, if I have spinach, you have the Omnitrix, and I think I would win.
If we
Holy
don't
crap.
have the things,
then I would win too.
because it's a grown man fighting a child.
Even when you're older, you're still a teenager, and you're kind of
Right.
skinny.
Oh yeah. So
You like I said, you get some fight training and stuff, so you're not a completely moronic like kid who's never been in a fight ever himself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the plumber training, and like he said, he was a strategist and stuff.
Yeah.
But Popeye was a sailor, so
Yeah.
like,
He's
like in the
foul-mouthed,
Navy. I mean,
strong.
he's a sailor, but I feel like he was in the Navy too.
He's a sailor man.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're in the Navy.
No. But yeah, he has the anchor on his arm.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I've seen. I'm gonna shout out a TikToker I watched. This guy named Nick Ainsworth. He does this a lot.
Yeah.
And he commented on one of these who would win type things, and Popeye was in one of the little squares, and he was like, "Let me tell you about this guy." He was like, "None of these Superman, none of these."
He's like Saitama, kind of.
Yeah, he pretty much is. Yeah, he's One Punch
That's
Man.
a way to good.
I don't mind losing this one because Ben 10 is a good.
That's a good fight.
Yeah.
Let's do a percentage.
Oh,
I want to hear what you think.
Oh man, probably like 30 out of 100. Like
You
30.
30?
Yeah, I might win. Oh shit, no. You got spinach. Like I'm not winning.
I think 30 is not crazy.
30 times out of 100.
Yeah.
But that's depending on. Okay, so if you have absolute.
Yeah, that's
like,
that's why I said I knew.
So
I won.
one of these guys has time slow. That
Yeah.
helps a lot. Super slow motion.
Yeah, but I have time rewind. So,
yeah,
I mean,
so gray matter. So all
genius,
these
a level of intellect and whatnot.
are superhuman everything.
Yeah.
I have
But it's only
superhuman
one
intelligence.
at a time. You know that, right?
Yeah, I
Okay,
get it.
okay.
But like every single one of them has superhuman, the standard,
Yeah.
Strength.
Superhuman, not absolute.
not absolute.
Yeah.
The fact that it said absolute was what the fuck.
And it's the same site that we're getting this info from.
Exactly,
Right?
so
they use the same language between them.
Yeah, they
Should
would
use
have
the
if
same.
this dude was
Absolute.
as powerful
Yep.
as So
They would have said it.
Maybe we should look up someone else and see
How they describe them.
how they describe like
their
Saitama.
powers. Yeah.
You
do
know,
it.
or Goku or something.
Yeah, do it.
See if even Goku has absolute anything,
Yeah, exactly.
because that's some very choice wording right
Yeah,
there.
he's got like that instant transmission. So I mean, that's kind of.
I
an
just mean
absolute.
strength, like straight strength.
Oh,
if
right.
Goku is that template for the strongest, then you would think his power would say absolute. See, nope, it's all superhuman.
Yeah.
Meaning to them, Ben 10 is not on par, but superhuman as Goku.
Right.
Or
When he's
like
doing-
Goku.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, the fact that they said absolute.
Yeah, that's crazy.
With just spinach, though. Now, if we had Goku versus Popeye, I don't know. It'd probably be Popeye, because absolute is a very distinct,
It is.
very specific word they
Yes.
chose to use.
Yeah.
It's the tune power.
Exactly.
Like we said, when we had the Porky Pig one, I was very hesitant to give that to you because I was like, Porky Pig might be able to do some shit simply because it's tuned. Like,
Yeah.
what about Bugs Bunny versus Popeye?
That would be crazy.
Does Bugs Bunny win? Does he have absolute? That's
They both
crazy.
have fourth wall breaking type abilities. So.
Right. Temporal rewind,
Yeah.
erasure immunity. You could stop the artist from getting rid
That's
of you.
awesome. That's
How
so
strong? That's
cool.
like Shaggy at 2% power, bro. That's crazy.
Oh man.
If we ever-
Damn. That was a good.
That was a
That
good
was a
one.
good match. I'm
Interesting
glad.
too.
Yeah.
Who would have ever? No one ever said Popeye versus Ben 10.
No.
That's cool as shit.
Hell yeah.
So what's that? 13-9. I don't mind that one.
Yeah,
That one doesn't make
13-9.
me mad. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what? That's a good fight.
It was.
That was a good one.
Hell yeah.
All right, 13-9.
13-9.
I liked my 2 in a row. That's straight. All right, so oh yeah, you want to draw?
Yeah, let's
All right,
do it.
so we're gonna draw our letters on this episode.
We're getting low.
For next week. Oh yeah, let me say this now, real quick. We are going to end this first season of Flipping Pages at episode 26. So for episode 27, it will just be a week break, and maybe 2 weeks as far as listeners go because we stagger one.
Yeah.
But
it would be 2 weeks.
so it'll be 2 weeks. We're gonna release episode 26. We're gonna do some upgrades to our hosting site, and then we're gonna come back 2 weeks later
Just
with
some
another
behind-the-scenes
episode.
work we need to do.
Just a few things. Well, don't you worry about it. We're gonna take care of it. But if you check in for us that week and we're not there for 2 weeks, that's why.
We'll
and
be
then
right back.
season 2 is gonna start, which we don't break it up into seasons, but the hosting site does. So.
Yeah, it would just. It's a way of saying it.
Also, I think I want to take a break in December.
I mean, that makes sense.
Well, not after December. So from basically January 1st to the 22nd, we take another break.
Okay, right.
And then wherever, hopefully that's not in the middle of a fucking season.
Yeah, I bet we could backlog at least one episode.
Oh, yeah, we could,
We
for
could.
sure.
We could for sure.
All right, yeah, go ahead. So Adam's
I'm
going to
gonna
draw
go.
his letter.
Let me see if I can even read it.
Yeah, I got horrible writing.
I got an L.
It might be a V or a U. No, it's an L. I recognize my own shit writing.
L. I'll take it.
Oh, we're running low. It's good we're stopping at 20. Oh, fuck. I got Y.
Aha.
You know what's funny?
I did Y, right, already?
2 of the most common letters are down there
At the
the
bottom.
last 2. Yeah, that's
funny.
funny. All right, so I got Y. That's going to be fun. Have we done Y yet?
I thought I did. Didn't I?
What would you have done? I don't think so. Maybe.
Could have sworn I did.
Terrible at this. It's only 22 episodes, and I don't remember shit.
I swear I did.
I did a V. I did Vice.
Maybe I didn't do Y yet?
Ooh, excuse me. You did an X.
Yeah.
You had X-Men. I'm not seeing a Y.
Really?
You did X twice, actually.
Yeah.
You did X-Men and Excellent.
Yeah.
No, we did a Z.
Okay.
U-S, no Y I'm seeing. Hold on.
Okay.
And T.
You're probably right.
Seems like it, yeah.
Huh.
I did a Q. That was a weird one.
Yeah.
Did another V. Nope, no Y.
Okay.
That'll be fun. Y and L.
Yeah.
And you did Lowriders. So I think that was the last L, probably.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
so anyway, we are on, what are we on? What is it?
All of it.
All of it. Yeah, we're on Instagram, Facebook, X. New episodes release every Monday on every podcast platform, and the accompanying YouTube videos are released on Monday.
Same
where
time.
if you like listening to it, but you want to see the crazy stuff we're talking about, you can go see that. We take a lot of care to put the coolest shit in the book on the YouTube videos.
Yeah, what we really try, if I say I'll show it on the YouTube video,
Yeah, we really-
or
yeah.
we go into we like a tangent on some art or something, we try to put it in there.
Yeah, just so you can see what
Yeah.
we're reading.
It's a
and-
good companion.
Yeah, so check that out. If you have been listening, liking videos, posts, all that, we appreciate it very much.
Yep.
Thank you for what you're doing, and glad you're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
And that's it for this week, man.
All right.
Y'all have a good one.
Bye.